What I need to do is when I'm talking to my friend from back home in Chicago who's telling me it never happened, I'm going to play that clip of me being like, we should not be showing a book to children that contains blowjobs, and have this person on the left say, we should, and it's fine, and they're okay with it.
So yeah, you're pretty much just saying it all out loud. You keep talking about how the left won't debate, and they will. They roll you to a level of embarrassment that, like, maybe you're not going to want to do these anymore. Maybe the doors are closed to the compound, I guess. But either way, yeah, there's that. And then in addition to that, you're just like, I'm just disingenuinely, in bad faith, mining them for clips. And if anyone's wondering, this is not an homage to Mr. Beanie Man Tim Pool or any of that. This is because my headphones are broken, and this is keeping them in place. And also, it makes my head feel like it's got a warm little blanket on top of it. I can kind of see the appeal as to why someone would want to wear a beanie 24/7. No, my head would get a little sweaty, especially because it's gonna get pretty hot outside. But you know.
Yeah, right. So go live in your grifter.
Wait, has Tim ever been anywhere with a beach? Like, has he ever traveled somewhere with a beach? Like, has he been spotted on the beach wearing the beanie? Oh, that would be intense. Like, you just pouring sweat down your face, but you'd have a giant little sponge on your head.
Echo chamber where you guys can play songs with bad audio and then say, whoopsie.
I'm sorry, that audio thing really upset you.
Against the better advice of my doctor, I watched 2.5 hours of Tim Pool's show. Now, there's a good reason for that. It's because Emma Vigeland of The Majority Report was on, and it was a very good discussion. Emma did a fantastic job here, and there is very little opportunity for people like this to appear on shows like this. So I think it's worth highlighting some good moments here, and also in the process of doing so, discuss a couple of dishonest things that Tim Pool does that are very clear here, and I want to highlight that. But let me get to, since there are a lot of clips here, I think I clipped out eight different clips, 8 or 7. We'll see. There's a lot. So let me get to the first one here, where they're discussing the difference between, this is right at the beginning. They're discussing the difference between left media and right media.
Part of what we do is we try to respond to some of the right-wing ecosystem on the internet because there's a vacuum truly left. You guys have a lot more money than the left-wing media space. We just try to combat it a little bit.
I think the issue with that, I can understand why you'd say that, but it looks like this is a great way to kick off the show, actually, like the start of the culture war. I actually don't think that whatever this space has more money, because this is a fractured independent space of varying ideologies.
Tim, I'm in your compound right now.
Yeah, I'm rich. What does
I
that,
live
what
in
does
a
that mean?
one-bedroom. I mean, how did you get rich?
I started a website, took memberships, sold ads on videos.
Yeah, but the reason that you get ads and that we don't is because you more adequately serve capitalism and we challenge it.
We get our ads pulled. What do you mean? There's whole organizations dedicated to getting all of our ads removed.
Right, but the proof is in the pudding and where I'm sitting right now.
So this is memberships. This is almost entirely because people pay to become members of our websites. Like, you know, if the Majority Report, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have. The inability to provide a product to a customer does not mean that one political faction has more or is granted more because of capitalism or anything like that. Like, if Sam is unable to, I mean, Sam's had way more subscribers than me for a long time.
Right.
And he just like and I'm not saying this to be like mean. I'm saying if he doesn't know how to turn revenue, the issue is more so you need like a COO or somebody who's going to say, here's how we provide something to a market that generates revenue so we can expand our business. So we're better at that here, I suppose, is the easy way to put it.
Well, no, because what you say here is more attractive to investors and advertisers. I mean, we're basically only members. And okay, well,
this was actually the only part of the debate I wasn't a huge fan of, just because, like, I think it's really easy ground for the right to suddenly be like, oh, you're trying to like posture or sound arrogant. which I do not think that's what Emma was trying to do here. I think she's trying to point out a very real reality in that independent progressive media, because it challenges capital, does not have a funding agent that is a subsidiary of Peter Thiel or the Koch brothers or something like that, where it's like on the right, it's overwhelmingly example after example after example of really deep pocket funding that comes from very powerful organizations that usually have funding that comes from oil and energy executives, right? Because again, you're upholding their interests in propagating information that doesn't get people to question any of this kind of shit. So that part is true, but I can see how like right away the right would spin this and be like, oh, fucking look at the virtue signaling of the leftist coming on the show.
Other right-wing media like the Daily Wire and stuff like that, and even what I'm looking at the Rumble, what I don't know, what do you call that logo right there.
Well, let's not forget this.
Some of you might not be super happy with me doing this, but I'm going to do it. People have criticized me for. I don't care. And I don't care what anyone says. They can say everything they want to me. I had several people mocking me, saying Tim is selling freeze-dried food packets.
Well, okay, so KiwiBird37, thank you for funding me. See, yes, I'm also independently funded for YouTube channels. Sometimes I'll take a random sponsorship or two. I'm not against it as long as it doesn't completely, not align with my values or something like that. I'm not going to be sponsoring Black Rifle Coffee. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, no, I'm just everyone's got to, pay your fellow workers and editors and people you work with, stuff like that. The prepper buckets, on the other hand, though, that's kind of next tier, right?
It's blah 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 blah. If you don't like me doing it, I'm sorry, dude. Too bad. I don't want to be seen as some dumb prepper. I'm not some, gun-toting prepper thinking the world is going to end. But I got no problem, and you can't shame me.
Yeah, you can't shame him, asshole.
Ow! A disgusting food bucket I'm never gonna eat.
So he did get sponsors. I mean, it's not entirely true that he's 100% independently funded. Very independently funded, though. Very successful. Can't take that away from him. I just don't get why not happy, though. Like, why after all this does it seem that you're so deeply concerned with impressing Sam Cedar to such a degree that like you're getting really big mad and you're like making up conspiracy theories that Sam and his team were manipulating your songs to make them sound shittier than they are? Like, they don't need to do that. They're au naturel. You can just go with that. It's enough of a vibe to be like, oh yeah, this is fucking unbearably unlistenable. This is a cat screaming, over and over to the tune of a Creed song. Like, that's not hard to put together. You don't need to manipulate the song and do a whole conspiracy. And in terms of Emma not being shown the skate park, there is outdoor skate parks. I will attest. Yes, there's multiple ramps outside. There's a outdoor skate park, kind of like little trailer that they built as well. But the truly impressive thing of that entire mansion, because the mansion, outside of just being massive, it's just a very big house. It's not very beautiful. It just looks like a giant house, right? It's not like someone, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a mansion guy, even when I see like gorgeous mansions, but there are the ones you can tell that like the super rich have clearly wanted to build like a palace and a castle. And this is the size of a castle, but it's just a gigantic kind of gray house. Like, just picture a regular gray house that you would see in suburbia, just expanded upon until it was just like the size of a mansion, with a monstrously huge chicken coop. And yes, a really impressive, like Olympic sized half pipe built underneath the ground. That's wild. Clearly very rich. Like, you don't have to deny that part, right?
It's like a rectangle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a David Sachs. That's a venture capital backed venture.
Okay, the only reason I'm talking about this, by the way, is because we got to get to, oh yeah, here it is. Tim Pool says the only reason he invited Emma, oh wait, before we get there, let's start here. Emma calls into the majority report after her Tim Pool debate and reveals that they were scared to show her the compound skate park. Okay.
Just coming out of the compound, the cool compound, as we call it around here. Emma Vigeland, your cool factor is way off the charts right now.
What's up, grifter?
Okay, fair enough. So how was it? We watched at least, I don't know, parts of it. And it looked like you were having fun. And then at one point it looked like you really upset Tim.
I know. I felt badly about that because he got pretty red.
I saw that. He got really steamy. Pretty funny. And how cool.
Okay, wait, I should also provide some context for people who unfortunately missed it. I don't know why you did. If you want to watch my breakdown of it, go to youtube.com/the Serf Times, and then you will find both part 1 and part 2, edited and titled and amazingly thumbnailed by the one and only Kyle. Thank you very much for doing that, Kyle. I'm just going to try and pull up this clip here that I have. So here's one of the parts where I thought he got really, really mad. Tim started accusing Emma of an entire conspiracy theory.
I said, it sounds like a psyop to have this profile appear one day after the shooting where it's got like a bunch of screenshots on it or something.
Sure.
It really does sound to me like someone told you to say things and you don't know what you're referencing.
I'm not shocked that that is the only way that you're going to try to react to this.
So Emma did a really good thing. Emma called him out to his face and said, Tim, like, have you not thought about why is it that a neo-Nazi mass shooter was watching your show? Specifically 3 episodes, and the episodes had a neo-Nazi and 2 white supremacists on those episodes, right? One of them being Nick Fuentes. Why was a neo-Nazi watching your show? Does that not make you reflect? Is that not a moment in your life where you're like, oh, whoa, okay, well, I do have to take a step here and ask myself, do I like this? Is this for me? Is this what I'm about? Because if I'm not, then I will definitely have to be horrified, shocked, and condemn this motherfucker on a repeated basis. If I was kind of leaning towards that side, the Nazi side, then maybe I would kind of want to downplay the severity of it, ask like, well, is he really a neo-Nazi white supremacist? I don't think he's even white. Can non-white people be neo-Nazis or white supremacists? And then also be like, it's kind of suspect that, you know, I don't know, Bellingcat operatives, aka CIA operatives, are the ones who discovered this really obscure social media account on what, like the second most popular social media account on Twitter. That's kind of weird. Kind of seems strange that like right after the shooting, all of that social media just suddenly got exposed out of nowhere. Seems a little sus, you know, kind of like an op of some kind or something. Oh, did not push that button. I was going to push this button, but Hadouken will apply just as well. But yeah, all the things that Tim Pool did, those are kind of the things that you would do if it's kind of like, well, how do I defend the image of this neo-Nazi? Because again, it was a neo-Nazi, SS tattoos, long, fucking disgusting history of white supremacist shit online. Yeah, 100% avowed neo-Nazi. That one's not really up for dispute anymore. Even the police have been like, he had a swastika tattoo. He's a neo-Nazi. So after all that, wouldn't you take a step back and be like, ooh, yeah, probably shouldn't have been putting all those white supremacists on my show uncritically. You know, I mean, if I was going to bring them on, I should at least push back against some of their white supremacist rhetoric, or even bring it up in general.
To react to what? Like, okay, no, this is fairly obvious. So I'm willing to bet Sam was like, hey, ask him about this and say these exact things.
No, I came up with,
come up with original thoughts. Come on.
It is my original thought.
So no, it isn't. It's some guy posts a screenshot of one episode of a show he's not subscribed to, and you think that's an attack vector for something political, but it's a personal snipe that has no bearing on any of the arguments we've made the entire show.
I disagree.
Yeah, so you disagree with what? With what? Elaborate.
I disagree that it has no bearing on what you've said throughout your entire show.
Like what? What did I say?
This is
come on.
The claim that you made.
Let's hear it.
I believe that your program appeals to a right-wing audience, and there's a reason that the neo-Nazi shooter watched your program.
And not only that Emma can't have her own thoughts, that she's put up to this by a man. Like, it could not be more transparent, where it's just like, and Emma called out, she saw it instantaneously, right? Obviously. Don't need to mansplain this one, but a woman knew what it was like to be condescended as a woman, like, you know? But yeah, I'm not at all surprised, Tim, that you would see it that way. Of course, it's like, hey, I have a legit. The same thing happens to all. Matitahu, thank you.
Spintix, trans, spintix, bi, spintix, lesbian, spin, cozy, woke actor, stank, cozy, pingu, dank, pingu, dank, cozy, woke actor, stank, cozy.
Nice. Thank you so much, Matitahu. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Look at all the women in politics and how they are treated by their contemporaries, aka right-wingers, pundits, or other right-wing politicians, as soon as they have a critique of them. Look at AOC. How is AOC responded to by every fucking right-winger that she calls out with legitimate concerns about either their policies or their actions or their words? It's like, I don't want to date you. Are you cheating on me? I'm very shy, says Elon Musk. Matt Gaetz, I have a wife, you know, things like that. It's like, no, she's not saying me want fuck. That's not what she's criticizing you. She has a legitimate take of your policies, your actions, your words, your shit. That's what she's talking about. And every single one of you is like, you want fuck, right? You sound like you want fuck. Yeah, no, sorry, baby. Yeah, the doors are closed.
And how do you know he watched the program?
Because he posted about it.
What did he post?
Tim.
What did he post?
He posted parts of an interview.
Sorry, that was my bad.
No, he didn't. You're wrong.
He had 4 screenshots on his phone from
you
the
don't
same
even know what
episode.
you're talking about, and all you can do is laugh. And some guy posted one thing one time, and that's the only argument you have.
Did you go to the time codes that were in that episode? Because I did. I ran this down, and one of them was a clip of Elijah Schaffer, and like weirdly for this like neo-Nazi Hispanic shooter, he like it's Elijah saying that we shouldn't be
He had a
emphasizing
swastika
race
tattoo.
specifically.
Have you seen the shit that Elijah Schaffer says and tweets? He's not shy about being a massive ass racist. Ask his opinion of Chinese people. He doesn't say, well, I have issues with the Chinese government specifically. Oh, yes, I have issues with the Communist Party. No, he just doesn't like Chinese people. He's extremely racist towards Chinese people. And he's not shy about it. He's not like even wearing masks when it comes to that shit. He just spouts online the most racist shit about Chinese people, and you're like, yeah, because he's a massive ass white supremacist racist. That's who Elijah Schaffer is. It doesn't shock me at all that a fucking avowed neo-Nazi mass shooter would want to listen to a podcast that has Elijah Schaffer talking about race relations, because of course Elijah Schaffer is a massive racist. The neo-Nazi mass shooter is a massive racist. Do we need to get CSI on this one?
No, he's a neo-Nazi Hispanic shooter.
Right, but Tim called it a false flag and then corrected himself the next day and then said he thought it was funny after a mass shooting.
I think that
people
someone
were calling
told you
him...
to say this and you don't actually know what you're talking about.
I think that it's not shocking that you think that based on my gender.
Okay, you're not saying anything anymore.
But like
got scientific research, data, my position.
I love how she's like, it's not surprising that you would think that based on my gender. He's like, you're not saying anything anymore. These aren't even full sentences. These aren't even thoughts. What does that even mean? What?
Position on what I like about DeSantis, and then you go, your show's for neo-Nazis. It's like, okay, dude, are you stupid?
I'm just stating facts.
I said, it sounds like a psyop to have.
Whoopsie. Okay, so that leads us to the phone call back.
Cool was his compound.
Oh, man. Honestly, they took me around the back. I think that they were worried about showing me the skate park, so I did not see any.
Does that mean that, wait a second, so you were cool enough to see how cool the place was?
Damn. So I was cool enough. So clearly, because like Tim sets the whole thing up, right? Beforehand, he's like, okay, so here's how it's going to play out. Okay, Serf's going to show up. I don't want him to see me. Okay, make sure he cannot see me. Don't hey, stop looking at me in the face. Do not look at me in the eyes, everyone. Look at the floor. Okay, good. Now, when he shows up, show him all the cool things. Show him like, yeah, show him like a little bit of the weapons, take him downstairs to the skate park, see if he can actually skate. If he can't, like, film that. It's going to be really embarrassing for him, and he'll be like emasculated, super beta stuff, right? And then afterwards, maybe you can film me and it'll show me like doing some really cool like skate tricks and superimpose me into the shot or something. But make sure he doesn't see me. And then like when I say I'm ready, then make him go up those stairs with the blue lights, and then I'll be like fucking playing really heavy metal or something like that just to scare him when he walks in, and then we'll do that one.
Yeah.
But Emma didn't get that one. She wasn't cool enough for the skate park. No, sorry, Emma. Only the cool kids were allowed to go to the skate park. Yeah, I was one of the cool, and I got to go to the chicken park too. Did you see the chicken park? I got to see the wrangler. There was a chicken wrangler, and she was teaching me a little bit about the chicks and all that kind of stuff. So that was another thing that happened. I don't know if you're a part of that. KF Logan 1875, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Hi everyone. I'm just catching up on a little bit of the Tim versus Emma drama that has since happened. Apparently Tim Pool's currently stating that Emma is lying about his skate park, and as someone who has actually set foot upon the skate park, so I was going to throw my beanie into the ring. And if you're also wondering, is this part of the bit? No, it's not actually. I know you'll never believe me on that one, but I'm not actually wearing this as part of a bit. My headphones are broken, and this is keeping them in place. I will have new headphones tomorrow. Until then, I'm wonderfully enjoying this this head pillow that is a toque. We call them toques up in Canada. Yes, they're not beanies here. But anyways, can everyone go to twitch.tv/KFLogan, give him a follow back, please. He's an awesome content producer, great dude.
No,
I didn't want a girl making fun of their skate
I didn't
park.
bring I didn't pop a wheelie on my way in, so I guess I didn't pass the test. But I think
Toque spelled Toque. Yes, even stranger.
I didn't see any skate park.
Well, now I don't have to be
skateboard.
seethingly jealous that you got to see the compound, because you didn't.
I know, and like I kept, even after we finished the show, I was like, you got to have Sam on again.
Good job. We'll see you soon. Thanks for calling in.
All right, make sure that Soros check clears, please.
All right. We'll run it through the secret bank we have here.
All right,
ladies and
thank
gentlemen,
you.
Emma Vigeland, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Oh. Huh?
The Toque with a Q? Really? All right, hold on. Gonna get kicked out of this country. You realize they rescind your fucking passport in Canada if you can't spell it. It is with a U. Fuck. Which is what I said. Obviously, it's you who misheard me. I didn't say oh. I said you. Yeah. Is it toque or toque? In Canada, toque sometimes spelled toque with an O. Oh, we were all right. It can also be spelled with an OU. Oh, okay. Well, shame on all of you. Look at you, trying to make me lose my passport.
He and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love.
We got to have a debate.
Yeah, and you're wrong, American RC Tycoon. There's multiple ways to spell it. So anyways, this was the clip, obviously, that I think got Tim mad. So Tim today says, this is exactly it, though. They lie about everything and everyone. The entire parking lot in front of the skate park with a 7-foot quarter, 20-inch wide quarter, 2 ledges, 2 rails, 3 movable 3-inch quarters. There's no way to enter the property without seeing the skate park. So as someone who's, I'm not a skater boy. I never said see you later boy. I don't know all the technical terms. I will say when I was outside and there was a whole bunch of like really expensive cars parked outside, I don't know if it's all his fleet, but there were, what I could tell were like, I thought they were ramps and jumps. That's what I was calling them. But there are ramps and jumps outside. And yeah, broadly speaking, whatever you want to designate as your own skate park is your own skate park. That part is true. And then there is an additional outside, like little kind of like compound thing that they built. And inside there is more skating, like, you know, ramps and stuff and some stuff to do some tricks off of. And, you know, again, I don't know the technical terms. The one that is truly impressive that I'd never seen before in my life is when you go underground down these stairs and then you see the full fucking like Olympic sized half pipe. That is nuts. They built that, and if that's the one that she never got to see, that's unfortunate because that was truly the most impressive of all the skating gear available. And so I think it went a little further. The thing is, though, they were joking. I think that's why this actually gets a little bit weird because I think Emma and Sam were just joking about like taking this actually seriously. I don't think that's a big thing of it. Tim, you get bummed out about the most high school stuff. This is clearly us joking around. I booked it out there after the show because my mission was complete, and quite frankly, the compound's not my vibe. My disagreements with you are based on politics, not on manners. And yeah, I said the same thing. I was like, they were incredibly hospitable. The drivers are very, very friendly and wonderful people. Had nice conversations about them. I learned some things about the world I didn't know were things about the world. And yeah, they put you up in a nice hotel. They took care of you. They were very hospitable. I never would have critiqued them on that front. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm genuinely shocked that he wanted to hang out after. Okay, well, I was never offered to hang out after. I was never offered to hang out before either. I noticed like Tim Pool wanted to like meet up beforehand at a diner or something like that with the team, I guess, and get to know each other. I never got that. I was just thrown into this whole kind of like, you know, yeah, okay, when he's ready for you, we'll let you know. You know, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, sure, yeah. Can we get you some water or non-alcoholic beverages of any kind? Oh, I'd actually really like a beer. Kind of take the edge off. And it's nice to just have like, you know, a little libation before you go live. We don't have beer. Oh, we have energy drinks. No, I'm okay on energy drinks. Probably put me like that, you know, so I'm just gonna be all right on that one as well. So yeah, I didn't get an offer to hang out after, I guess. So Emma is technically cooler than me. And I never got the offer for the hangout beforehand. Never got the offer for the hangout afterwards. Tim Pool says the only reason he invited Emma on his show was to collect sound bites where she said she wanted children to be able to watch porn at the age of 10 years old. This is why I generally don't think it's a good idea to go into a
about
show.
Why I want to do shows like this. I do not believe we will convince Emma or anyone at the Majority Report or any liberal or leftist of any of our positions, but I don't care.
That's just not true, Tim. I'm not going to go through it in its entirety again, but you know, Sam Cedar did post the entirety of your text messages, and it does really seem like you not only care, but like you care a fucking lot. Like if you go to Sam Cedar's Twitter, you'll see the collection of it, and it's just like this really sad back and forth of like one person kind of being, you know, like I said, the best I can describe it is a bad breakup where one side is trying to do damage control just to mitigate if this ever blew up past their conversation. And it's just kind of like Sam on one end being like, I agreed to come on your show. I thought we could do it remotely. Now that I know that we can't, and COVID is, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You see, I don't want to go down there. If we can do it remotely, I'll do it as soon as you want. It's your nearest convenience. I film multiple shows in my own city. I just can't uproot my life and just fly out to go be at your compound, stuff like that. And then Tim perpetually getting madder and madder, just being like, why are you lying about me? You used me for social credit. You used me for internet points. He's like, no, I'm saying to your, you know, right now, I will go back on I'll go on your show. Just let us do this through Skype or any means like that, blah, blah, blah. Tim, don't need to. And then Tim be like, why wouldn't you tell everyone my opinions. I think that it's bad that Flint doesn't have drinking water. Why didn't you tell anyone of your audience that? Why won't you do video on that? So, well, I don't know your specifics on this one, Tim. I guess we agree. I don't know why I would do a video on that then, because I don't really have to criticize anything that you said. If you think that people in Flint, Michigan should have clean drinking water, I too think that they should have clean drinking water. I wouldn't make we're not really in the business of making, here's where Tim Pool was right and a good person videos, you know? Like, oh, we got another one, everybody. Just so you know, Tim Pool, often misunderstood by the left, yet again has said that he's actually not for people in Flint having unclean drinking water. A very spicy take, yes, for anyone to have, clearly. So, Tim, point to you, I suppose.
What I think is important is that we produced a show where Emma said that she wanted children to be able to watch porn at the age of 10 years old. And so
oh, can you link it where there are 15? I want to see it.
I'm like, I don't need you to argue that point to me. I don't care. What I need to do is when I'm talking to my friend from back home in Chicago who's telling me it never happened, I'm going to play that clip of me being like, we should not be showing a book to children that contains blowjobs, and have this person on the left say we should and it's fine and they're okay with it.
So yeah, you're pretty much just saying it all out loud. You keep talking about how the left won't debate, and they will. They fucking roll you to a level of embarrassment that, like, maybe you're not going to want to do these anymore. Maybe the doors are closed to the compound, I guess. But either way, yeah, there's that. And then in addition to that, you're just like, I'm just disingenuinely in bad faith mining them for clips. That's why I want them here. So I'll bring Emma Vigeland here so I can get a clip of her saying that she wants to show porn to 10-year-olds. I can clip that out of context, and then I can just show that over and over and over when anyone's like, hey, what do you think about the majority report? I'll be like, you mean the pedo report? And then I can play the clip, you know?
And I'm like, that's all I needed. I needed for you to say it so I can prove to people you believe these things. So they can, I'm like, you're allowed to believe that, and she did, adamantly defend kink education and pornography for children.
See, again, I think so much of this is going to be actionable, and it's continuing to build. Like, obviously, I don't think Call of Duty cares enough to do anything. If he says everyone who works at Activision Blizzard is a pedophile and a groomer, that's a very broad statement, and one that might not be actionable because of how, like, you know, on its surface it's just absurd. And so you could probably do the defense of like, oh, I wasn't being serious. Obviously, I don't think that literally every person who works there is a pedophile. That's impossible. Yes, no, this falls well within the grounds of satire parody. So yes, he'd probably be completely protected there. But if you're specifically telling people that, hey, this person said things that they did not, like Emma Vigeland did not say that she wants to distribute kink and sexual educational courses to 10-year-olds. Never happened. What he is referring to, I believe, once again, and it's still here from when I was reviewing their debate earlier, was him pulling out genderqueer, which, as I've explained to everybody since I have read it, that it is the story of a person who is asexual and a person who is not only asexual, but that person is discovering their asexuality and not being comfortable with having sexual experiences. That's the whole sex scene in the book that the right keeps referencing. It is a person who is giving oral stimulation to a fake plastic phallus. That is the extent of it, and that's the whole scene. And then afterwards realizing they're not comfortable with it, and afterwards their partner is like, yes, I understand why. Yeah, like the whole thing again is a coming of age story. It is not about promoting sexuality. It is not about teaching sexual techniques to children. It is not about teaching even how to perform or enjoy sex to kids. It's about being comfortable in one's own personal acceptance of oneself. That's what the story is about. Now, if you have a weird, twisted version of sex, or perhaps you've had unusual sexual experiences, or you've had a lack of sexual experiences, or your version of what sexual experiences are very, very different than what would be considered the norm, then maybe you would see that one page of that one book and then think to yourself, this is hardcore pornography of the highest order. This is the most hardcore thing I've ever seen in my life. At which point, maybe then you would think that it was hardcore pornography. And then if you, in addition to that, decided, hey, by the way, I want to then spread this to everyone. Like, I think these are your own hangups that you've kind of put into the idea that now you've got a gotcha, right? You've got a gotcha where you can give people a thing and be like, hey, would you want this book in schools? And someone's like, well, I mean, if it's a coming of age story and the person in the book is around the same age as people might be when they're discovering their own sexualities, then what exactly is the problem with that? It's like, well, look at this. And you flip to the one page, you're like, look at the pornography before you, the things we've seen, like Tulsi Gabbard telling Joe Rogan, it's amongst the most hardcore pornographic things I have ever seen in my life. And it's like, I don't think that's true, but even if it is true, then I suppose you've just led a very, very sheltered life, where the idea of someone like have you seen a picture of a person sucking on a popsicle or a banana or on any phallic looking object, and have you instantly seen that photo and then been like, well, that reminds me of a sex act? Sure, of course, that's maybe why the photo exists, but just in general, if someone is just like stuck on a popsicle, that's not because they're doing it distinctly to stimulate you in the most hardcore pornographic fashions, or even if it's an allusion to a sex act. Sure. I mean, if you put two oranges and a banana on top of that, like, you could say that you were staring at pornography at that moment in time. It's like, whoa, look at that. It resembles the phallus and the testicle. Yes, I mean, it does. Yes, in an almost cartoonish and comic-like way. Not in a, like, oh my God, I can't resist the look of the secular fruits. It's like, yeah, this could be a representation of something. That doesn't mean it's necessarily pornographic to teach children sex. Again, this is such a bad gotcha. I really need people to realize this, to pull out Genderqueer, the book, and then be like, would you be okay with this? Are you going to show kids kink instructions? It's like, no, that's not what that book's about.
And I'm like, you can absolutely be on board with it. I'm not telling you to stop believing any of that. I think it's disgusting. I just need you to say it. Say it right there to the camera.
I think it should be 16 plus. The thing is, this book is not being taught to kids. That is a lie propagated by a lot of the right. This book was featured in libraries in which it could be rented out. I would assume by young adults. I assume this is a 16 plus kind of tier book about discovering one's own sexuality. As someone who was a 16-year-old at one point, and I again have the privilege of being cis, incredibly cis. I've never had to worry about that. In fact, it actually gives me gender dysphoria to put on things like makeup or stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with this at all. So yes, incredibly cis, and was able to be straight passing, so I could hide behind that. But for the most part, there wasn't a world of information available to you around my high school age about differences of gender, differences of sexuality. I thought bisexuals were just gay men who occasionally just wanted to experiment or things like that. I didn't know what I was. I was like, oh, clearly I'm just confused. Something's wrong. I'm just going to ignore that part of myself for a while, because there is no access to that kind of information. There is no access to, like, again, this is all pre-internet. Nowadays, people can go on TikTok and learn about everything, and that's one of the reasons why we have so much more representation of LGBTQ plus people, all that kind of shit, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, this in and of itself is not intended to pervert and corrupt kids. That's not why this book exists.
So that finally, when I go to my friend and say, these people put porn in schools, they'll say, that's not true. I'll be like, let me play the video for you. Let me show you the clip where and then here's the book. And now they'll be like, oh, I guess they do support those things.
And see, it's so disingenuous, because the answer is no. Emma obviously does not promote or endorse the distribution of kink materials to 10-year-olds, but that's how you were trying to frame it, right? He was trying to do the same thing to me in the after hours party, where he was showing me all these pictures of, what appeared to be either, performers or strippers, and I had no idea if they were drag, I had no idea if they were cis or trans, I had no context whatsoever, but showing me pictures of them dancing in front of high schoolers or children, and being like, what do you think about this, Lance? Are you okay with that? And I'm like, you have to play defense at that point, right? It puts you in that position where, like, well, of course, no one here is endorsing strip shows for kids. No one wants that. In fact, I don't even know if this is a trans person or if this is a drag queen. We have no idea of the context. This could be a straight person. This could be a cishet. This could be, something, because more often than not, there seems to be a lot of these performances turn out to just be straight people being like, yeah, just a good little day for the young boys to realize how straight they are and shit like that. But no one's going to endorse that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Drag Queen Story Hour. I'm talking about a completely tasteful event which has been going on for a long time now, in which children are read books by adults in costumes intended to be tasteful for children. That's what I'm talking about. I have no horse in the race of whether or not this is okay, right? I'm not here to battle for this. This is not my fight. I'm not here to be, hey, come on, in order to be completely inclusive, for us to truly not be bigots and homophobes, you have to accept this right here. This right here is queer culture at its absolute synthesis. No, it's not. This is just a random photo you have, most likely from 4chan, to get people angry. It's always just like, oh, the worst of the worst. Look what you've seen. Oh, were you okay with this? You let this happen. You stood by and did nothing. It's more like you confused everyone, I kind of feel.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you kindly to our Lord and Saviors Peyton L. Just and Xander Corvus. Without you, we are nothing. And now, a shout out to our Knights of the Square Table. Amazing Flesh, Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, DM Rivera, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Izzy Solidarity, La Media Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Metal, Omni, Peanut Butter Blonde, Political Papi, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Kubi, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Dimmel, Thomas, Trevbot EXE, Lucidry, Words Greenwood, Cheryl Alvarez, Tony Perkins, Thomas, O'Pecker, Travis McClinton, and Victoria Bell. Thank you so much. And a huge shout out to all the other people who make this entire show possible. Without you, it would not exist. If you can support us, please go to patreon.com/theserfs, and even $1 can help unlock all of the little goodies and help make this show entirely possible.